Good evening, Judge. My name is Corey Boyser. I am currently working in the capacity of fire marshal and fire investigator for the department involved in the house fire that occurred at 614 Main Street. I was personally and directly involved with the fire investigation. I made entry into the home, unaware that there were only contractors on the scene. I conducted the investigation as I would conduct every investigation, systematically and thoroughly, starting with the exterior, and then I moved interior. I started with the fire room and then worked my way out from there. I immediately focused on the fact that many that would be considered personal items were missing and that the home appeared to be staged, including a broken TV that seemed very out of place. The scene was immediately deemed suspicious, and I continued the investigation, documenting and collecting solid and blatant evidence backed by history of scientific testing and textbook information, stuff that I have relied on my entire career. I understand that the defense has made a good case that the homeowner's constitutional rights were violated. This would include the Fourth Amendment in regard to warrantless search and seizure. I assure you that this did not come to mind when I was presented with the overwhelming evidence that was immediately pointing towards arson. I was requested by the department, their standard operating procedure, immediately when the incident commander declared a working incident. I was notified right away. I, at the time, was working on another scene of another incident and made it a priority to respond to the incident commander's request as soon as possible. When there is a building on fire, immediately it creates an exigency that justifies a warrantless entry. So under most circumstances, the fire crews remain on the scene and I can immediately enter the premises and conduct my investigation and appropriate interviews. In this case, the fire department was called to an urgent situation involving another fire and children trapped within a structure. They had to leave. The obvious evidence that was presented in plain sight is considered an inevitable discovery and would have been found no matter what the circumstances were. I have brought with me today a piece of demonstrative evidence, and actually it's a photograph of demonstrative evidence of obvious pore patterns on the rug just below the television. Here's another section of the rug. These are clear in textbook pore patterns. There's a level of urgency to test the suspected pore area, as accelerants can be considered inherently transient and may not be detectable as time goes by. I will refer to the Connecticut case that allowed for the use of testing of floor samples as admissible evidence. State versus Christopher Benier outlines that there is no expected privacy in a homeowner's floor, and the evidence within the floor can be used in the court of law. The floor samples that were obtained in that pore pattern area act as solid evidence, although I do understand that these pieces of evidence were taken without the homeowner's permission. I truly believe that if a jury is given an opportunity to review this evidence, I consider an inevitable discovery, that it is very obvious and that they will consider that anyone in their right mind would realize that the fire crews on the scene made the right decision to abandon the fire scene to potentially have the ability to save children from a building fire 3 blocks away. Then it would be considered in their decision to see what the defense wants suppressed and thrown out of the court. I do believe that this is solid evidence and it would be very valuable to the jury to use in the court. Thank you for your time and have a good evening.